In a world obsessed with money, success, and productivity, there are very few brave souls that choose a different path, one that leads to simplicity, meaning, and inner peace. Today, I sit down with my inspiring pen pal, Adil Moussa, who is a Moroccan living in the United States. Adil once chased material success and possessions until he discovered that the real fulfillment lies in decluttering the noise and embracing a deeper experience of life. Get ready to dive deep into this transformative conversation. Grab a tea and join us in this soul searching journey. So I'm really, really grateful for this because today I'm hosting a pen friend of mine of 20 years, which is like hilarious. We know each other. We've been knowing each other for about 20 years, ever since I used to live back in the States. And today I'm seeing him sort of face to face, but it's nice to have you here, Adil. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much. It's only took like 20 years to finally meet each other, but hey,
To meet
slow
each other.
but efficient.
Let's wait another 20 years to meet in the real life.
Yes, yes, of course. I will only be what, 70 something? That would be okay.
We got time. No rush. No rush. But I wanted you to have you on the show today because recently we've been speaking kind of a lot because we were catching up on what's happened in the past years and so. And I got really intrigued by your story. Um, and I want you to share with us your story today as someone who kind of like left that so sought life. Most of us seek that kind of life. You know, when you have a corporate lifestyle, you want to jump the corporate ladder, and then you just drop all that and go for something completely different. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure, sure. I got to the US in, I think, 95, and I had to immediately find a job like everybody else because you have to eat, you have to find rent and all of that stuff. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I joined the company as a security guard, and they were placing us in this big business that did credit card processing. 6 months later, they needed somebody who spoke French. I happened to speak French, and I got in the company, in the processing company, and just started climbing up the ladder. Uh, they also needed somebody in Latin America. I happened to speak some Spanish, so that was a good transition. And it was probably the best years of my life working with clients in Latin America uh, professionally.
How old
And
were you?
then there was a change. Uh, say 25, 26. And then there was a change in management, and I didn't see eye to eye with my boss at the time, and I was let go. And one of those, you're let go. Like, but I don't want to go. It's okay. You just still have to go. And then I found myself uh, working in the same field again in credit card processing in a different company. And then after that, I joined a consulting group, a consulting firm in Boston, specializing in credit card processing. And I still wanted to start something on my own. And I decided to open a store, a brick and mortar store with Moroccan items that I was importing for Morocco. Didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into. You think you know it, but you really don't. You just jump in and you learn as you're going. And especially if you're successful in a corporate life where the infrastructure has already been designed for you and you're doing one single little spot, you've taken care of one aspect of the business. And if you're successful at it, you start to feel that, hey, I can do this. and not realizing that you don't know how to start a business, how to create the infrastructure from scratch, how to do all of that. So jumping into that, and I found myself working 70 hours at the store, had to hire somebody to help me while I was still doing my full-time consulting job. And I never want to be in a store again. It's prison. It's like I would never do that ever again. It's what I wanted was independence, and what I found was the opposite. I was slave to a business where I had to be physically present, and that's really not something I want to do. I closed my store because it just didn't work. I didn't know. There were so many things that I didn't know. But because I was a merchant and my specialty was actually working with merchants, but on the other side, on the processing side, I learned a lot just from the experience itself. And it's very important to know how business owners feel on a day-to-day business if you want to convey something to them. They trust you more when they know that you know what they're going through. It's that sense of empathy. So I use that to connect with business owners and still do my consulting. And then I was also fired from my consulting job because I was not performing as well as I was doing before when I was not distracted by the store. So it just all happened all at once. And it was 2012, and I decided, I'm just I don't know what I want to do. Let's just wait and see. I had enough money to last for a few months, so I had time to not do anything. And the phone rang one day, and it was a company, actually the bank where I used to work, and they wanted to hire me to do some consulting for them. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to be an independent consultant. I'll just do market research and consulting for banks in that specific area, credit card processing.
Do you get paid more as an independent contractor?
So I made in 1 month more than what my salary was for the year.
Right.
So yeah, you get
right.
a lot. Yeah. It was a 1 month project, and I think I charged $90,000 for it. So it's a significant change in the way you deal with projects and things like that. And also it taught me that what I take as knowledge that is for granted, there are people that are willing and want to pay big money for it. It's like, just buy me a coffee and I'll tell you anything you want, but you have to monetize your knowledge. It's very, very important. And it's okay to add a zero at the end of whatever number that you had in mind to begin with. It's completely fine. Nobody cares if the knowledge is good.
How long did it take you to get to that mentality of like, it's fine to add a zero, it's fine to monetize your knowledge? Did you have it from the beginning of your independent freelance, job, or did it take months, years to come to that?
Absolutely not. I didn't have. The first time when I knew how much the company was charging for my time, for my consulting work, I was flabbergasted. I didn't know people would pay that much. And when I had to do it myself, I was scared when I sent the paperwork. Like, I was clicking that send button and my hand was shaking and I couldn't sleep that night. And I didn't even ask for 90,000. I asked for like 15, and then I gave another option for like 25. And then they came back and they said, yes, but this is not what we want. We want actually a full study. And I'm like, yes, but that's like a lot of money. And they said, yes, we know. And so I have to struggle with myself more than anything else. It's the limits that we put on ourselves, on our knowledge and stuff like that is really, it's really exceptional. And all that is really due to childhood trauma and what we had to go through and what we were told we're supposed to be. And everybody has a kind of a limit. I call it like a thermostat for money. And that thermostat is set since you were 5 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because we all grew up in households where we saw our parents fight and bicker about money. We all saw some people making it rich and then becoming really horrendous to be around, and we don't want to be like that. We all saw all kinds of things that we don't want to reproduce, so we just keep the thermostat low. That way we don't rock the boat. So getting rid of that took me years after that. It wasn't even that first time. It stayed with me forever. Stayed with me for a long time, actually. I would say until about 2 or 3 years ago, to actually let go of it completely.
Did you get help with that? Did you get like a mentor, a coach, or did you just work it out on yourself?
I had to work it out. It's just that my life after 2014. So I started the consulting firm in 2012, and in 2014 I lost my dad, and that was like the last event after a series of traumatic events that really just took me down. I mean, I broke down as a human being, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I was not making any money. I was in a severe depression. I couldn't leave the house. I took 2 months off and went to Essaouira and stayed there, and kind of a way to reset the button, which worked. But when I got back to the US, I just could not get back into it. And that's why I'm saying childhood trauma is really special. If you don't deal with it fully, it will come back later, and you get re-traumatized through life events, and then you feel the need that, okay, I have to take care of this. I don't know what it is, but I have to take care of it. And I did that kind of work of just trying to see what it is. And what I discovered is, the way I see it, I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but when we're born and we start to grow up, we do have a seed of who we're supposed to be, but we get derailed by our family, we get derailed by our society, we get derailed by everything we get taught. And we spend we spend the good half of our life just finding ourselves. So that's what we're seeking all the time. We're seeking knowledge. We're seeking this. I want to know this more. I want to be better at this. I want to understand myself better. I want to understand people better. And that, when you finally understand yourself, which is the only thing you need to understand, really, is just get to grips with who you truly are, who you were supposed to be. Everything fixes itself. Like everything fixes itself. Money comes the way you would never expect. Love comes the way you would never expect. Everything, because you have resolved your own internal conflict that was making all of that energy that kept stuff away from you. So that's kind of what happened, which it's like, oh, okay, now I can relax. I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know where I'm going. And now I just need to step into my passion and what I call my sacred mission in life. I think we all have one. We need to discover what it is and just go with it.
During those 3 years, did you manage to find what was hindering you?
No, it took longer than that. Yeah, it took longer than that.
And then you decided to get back to work even though you haven't solved the stuff up?
Yes. Yeah, well, I had to eat. The reality of life catch up with you. If you don't have money to pay your mortgage and things like that, you're not going to make it for long. And I was in that situation where I didn't have money to pay for my mortgage for a few months. And yeah, I had to start a job. Well, not a job. I didn't want to go back and work for somebody. That I knew. So I just started the company because there was a change in the regulation in the credit card business in the US, and you could make more money than before doing that kind of job. And so I started the company in 2017 or 18, and slowly pushed it until and grew the accounts until COVID hit. And since COVID hit, I never really went out seeking more customers. I've just been maintaining. It's a comfortable life, and it gives me plenty of time, because I think that's the most important thing for me. It has always been time, not money. It's having the time to sit around and think and do things that you're passionate about.
I'm sure a lot of people would be curious to know what sort of business you run. What is the business model that allows you to have this lifestyle as you're currently in Morocco, right? With this beautiful background.
Yeah.
What kind
We
of
can't talk
business
about
did you launch? How did you manage to build a business from scratch? And I hear that you travel also a lot and take 2 months off, 3 months off. So how do you manage to do that?
The type of business, there are some type of business where the model itself is built automatically like that. I didn't invent it. Insurance is one of those businesses. When you become an insurance agent, you find new customers, but you never have to worry, because every month you're making a percentage of the premiums that they pay the big company. You're just an agent of the company. So you're making a percentage of that premium every month. So if you have, as an insurance agent, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 people, you're literally don't have to work. You can hire an office manager, you can hire somebody to take care of the claims, and you don't have to be involved. In this credit card business in the US, the way it works is, if you are an independent agent and you create your own company, you can go and find merchants that need to process credit cards, and you can offer them your services. And that's what I did. And so basically I do make a percentage of whatever that business is doing. And so that's how I'm able to not really work a lot of hours.
How many hours a week do you work?
It fluctuates. Since I've been here in Morocco, now it's been about 3 weeks. I think if I put all the time that I worked and answered the phone together, it probably is less than an hour. But there is an anxiety, because I'm 7,000 miles away from my customers, and some of it is actually physical. Like, I have a client, I have to go to a store, pick up the machine, take it to my house, download the new updates into it, and take it back, and I can't do that. So there is that anxiety that just stays with me the whole time, and I don't know how to manage it yet.
Oh, but you don't have like a backup plan in case there's like an emergency?
I call my best friend and send him there.
You've trained him well? Well,
maybe please go and help me with this.
sounds like a plan. That's cool. So you can go on and enjoy your vacation.
I'm always with my phone, and I always answer my customers. And although I'm not passionate about the credit card processing business itself, I'm passionate about helping my customers, because I have been in their shoes. I have been a merchant, and there is nothing that I would hate more than me having an issue, calling the person who takes care of that aspect of business, and hearing them say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll get to you whenever I can. I don't know what that means, whenever I can. What I want to hear is, oh my God, I'm coming right now. Let me take care of it. Don't worry. I'll handle it. That's what I want to hear. That's what makes me feel reassured. And I think everybody wants to feel that way when you're working with somebody else. And my customers know that I care about their business. Because I really do care about them. I really love my customers, except one. I don't like him. He doesn't like me. That's one. The rest of them are wonderful human beings. They're all entrepreneurs. They all have their own business, and they feel that with me. It's not just talk. When they call, I answer, and when I answer, I show up to their place of business. And it's not one time, and it's not the first year, and it's always. And that creates that trust. And it's like, I don't have to worry about my customers leaving me for somebody else, because I know that nobody is going to put in that kind of attention to it. So it's not a lot of work, but it's very focused work.
It's the commitment that you give to your clients, that guarantee that you will solve their issues no matter what. It's
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
just evil. But can you explain what does it mean that you haven't really prospected ever since COVID, and you don't need to grow the business? You're fine. You're not looking to make more money. What does that mean, really?
I think I reached the number where I'm comfortable, and I don't think I've ever made it a secret that I'm very lazy. So it's like, yep, nope. I could have tripled or quadrupled what I'm making right now if I've been working through COVID. But I don't think it would have changed the quality of my life. And the quality of my life is exactly this, whether I'm in the US or I'm here. I get to wake up whenever I want, have breakfast whenever I want. I go to a coffee shop. I spend some time. I read a lot. I write, and I get to think about stuff that I enjoy thinking about. So that's the quality of life that I want.
So the money you're making at the moment is allowing you to have this lifestyle, and you're not looking to grow more or set up like a larger company, because pretty much you feel like you're happy the way it is today. You mentioned a few activities that you fill out your day with, but do these activities give you the satisfaction and fulfillment that you're looking for?
In a way, as I said, it's a stage where I'm just arriving at this stage in my life, and I've been in it for the last 2 or 3 years. It's been kind of a moment of reflection of when you reconnect with who you were supposed to be as a 5-year-old. There is a lot of updating that you need to do, because all of your beliefs are up for reevaluation. So it's like, I used to believe this, and now I don't believe it anymore. So I have to reevaluate all of my beliefs, and some of them I literally go and write them down, and just like, what do I believe about this? Do I still have this belief about it? Yes, no. And some are difficult, like, how do I feel about my family? How do I feel about my brother? How do I feel about work? How do I feel about helping? How do I feel? Like, all of them. And you just have to have the time, and it does take time. But what I like about it is, you're no longer in that mode of responding, and you're not in a mode of having to have anxiety constantly in your life. It's like, yeah, things are going to be fine.
Do you believe that each one of us has this ability to sit down and deconstruct, demystify our beliefs and re-question everything that we've learned throughout our lives? Do we have all this ability to do so? Or do we need to have a job like yourself and be able to work only an hour for 3 weeks to have that time? What are your thoughts on that?
I think what I went through was, it's called different things in different religions or different ways of thinking about it. Some people call it a midlife crisis. You're going through life, you get to your 50s or 60s, and your life doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel, you're not fulfilled as a human being. And you have to really look at what it is. And it always starts with something really painful, provoking it. In my case, it was a breakup. And then there is this hedonistic call. It's like, I want to do fun things right now. I just want to do fun things. I want to travel. I want to eat well. I want to just have a great life. And that's why a lot of, stereotypically, when we talk about a midlife crisis, there's a lot of men in their 40s or 50s, 60s who leave their wives, they leave their kids, and they trade in the old car for a brand new sports car, and they go and find a new girlfriend who's like 25. And that's the beginning of it. It comes as a hedonistic call, and you have to decide, do I want to follow that, or do I want to see where this is really leading me? And if you follow the hedonistic path, you're not going anywhere soon. It's just fall flat on your face. Or you go back to your wife and ask her to forgive you and take you back and return the shiny car, which a lot of people do. Because it's very hard to confront yourself. It's really, really painful. In psychology, they call it facing your shadow. It's the part of yourself that you don't want to see. And when you do that, it is a very painful experience. It's pleasant after. It's not. It's like the dentist. It's never pleasant when it's happening, but it's good after. So that do I think everybody has the capacity? Yes. I think people go through this problem, and a lot of people end up doing a lot of damage in their life, to their lives and to their loved ones and to their families, because they just decide, hey, I no longer want to do this. I'm free. I want to do whatever I want. And they jump in. So having the time that I have on my hand, it was nice. It gave me time to go through my midlife crisis very nicely, without having to worry about a full-time job or a full-time business or anything.
Two questions. Does it always have to come from a difficult situation, depression, trauma, or can it be, can you go through this thinking process without any dramatic event in your life? And the second question, do you have any practical, I'd say, tip of how you can connect with that 5-year-old that's still living inside of you?
I honestly don't know if it always has to go through pain. Everything I have read indicates that it has to come through pain. I don't know. This is also what I have read. So I haven't heard of anybody who was just happy, life was great, and all of a sudden they decided, hey, you know what? I need to reconnect with that kid. The source of unhappiness is the fact that we are alienated from our true self. That's the source of the discomfort and the pain. And it keeps growing with age. It doesn't become better. It just keeps worsening. So we do have to find that kid and embrace that kid and let that kid live again. It's just, I think it's a stage in life. Some people get to it, some people don't. And I don't know what makes somebody gets to it and what makes another not.
Yeah, that's it doesn't sound like an easy thing to do. It sounds like laborious. It can take ages, but I believe it's worth it, right?
Yeah. No, it's completely worth it, because you also gain perception and discernment. And those are very, very important skills. And I think we all have them, but because we don't want to see our trauma, we don't want to see what's hidden inside ourselves, that's what makes us not discern things as they are happening, and we just react to them from that wounded space that we have. So the discernment is amazing. You can just very quickly know where something is going to go and decide, it looks really beautiful and wonderful right now, and it's probably going to be beautiful in 2 or 3 years from now, but it's going to be only problems after that. And I don't want problems from years from now, so I'm going to avoid it. Whereas before, you would be only looking at the nice aspect of it. And you'll try to not see the negative aspect that is going to happen from that endeavor. So that's what I think is nice about it. There's also, this capacity for love that I didn't know. Because again, you accept yourself, so you no longer have any reason to dislike or hate anybody. Like, we are our biggest I don't know how to say it. We're our biggest enemy in the first half of life, it seems like. So yeah, it's I forgot your second question.
Oh, well, you already answered. I said, like, if you had any tips on how you can connect with that 5-year-old.
If I do, I will write about it. It's I really don't. I really, really don't. And it's not that I don't. There are so many paths that lead to the same thing. Some people are very intellectual in their approach. I would recommend just looking into psychology and shadow work. Some people are more emotional and instinctive, and they don't need that structured way of thinking. They can just do it spiritually. They can access it through movement, through yoga, through breathing, through whatever. There are many paths to it, and I think we're just very different, and we need to find our own individual path that works with us, that resonates. For me, it has always been an intellectual approach. I respond better to intellectual approach. So psychoanalysis was what made more sense to me.
Can you tell us a bit about some of the thinkers that help you in your thinking process, in your, I would say, spiritual awakening, if I can? Were there any particular thinkers, authors, philosophers that help you through this process?
I think a lot of them, too many to mention. And the one that stands up to me, because again, it's just the intellectual approach, it's James Hollis. And he wrote about this stage of life, like the first half of life, the second half of life, going through a midlife crisis, what it is and what it does to you and how it changes you. And I should have read that book first about the midlife crisis, because I would have avoided a little mistakes. And one of them is just impatience, right? You're like, I'm done with this process. I want it to be finished so that I can start the next stage. It just takes 2 or 3 years. That's what it takes, and you just have to be patient through it. So it's James Hollis is really an amazing writer and a thinker, and he conveys a lot of things outside of the spiritual realm. So, as I said, the ending is the same, but you can take different roads to it. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember what I have read lately. I went back to reading the Tao, I Ching. I think that's a good book. It has a lot of really good nuggets about life. No, what I've been rereading right now is the autobiography by Pablo Neruda. I read it about 20 years ago, and it's called "I Admit I Have Lived," and it's true. The guy really lived, and it's an amazing book about, he became a famous poet at the age of 19. At 23, he was sent to be the Council of Chile in Asia, and he was French ambassador of Chile, and he did a lot of things and met a lot of important people in the 20th century, like Gandhi and Nehru and anybody that you can think of, he met. And so this guy had a very, very rich life as a diplomat, as somebody who's working in politics as well, but also as a poet. And he won the Nobel Prize in Poetry in 1971. So somebody who can reconcile both the creative aspect and another aspect of life, like the practical aspect of life.
Hmm. 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 Now, how do you handle life today? Like, do you live each day as a new day, or do you actually take the time to plan ahead? What's your approach today
No,
to living life?
I live the same day as yesterday. It's just I love routines. I used to think that I'm not somebody who is into routines, but those are the stories that we tell ourselves, and that we still. I'm not somebody who likes routine. No, I really love routines. I enjoy them. It's great. So I didn't accept that about myself. And if somebody told me that, oh, you have a very boring routine life, I would be offended in the past. And now it's like, yes, I do. I love it.
Well, yeah, it brings you joy. So I think that's the most important thing. Now, has your definition of success changed ever since you started working when you were 25?
Yes. I think what I wanted was to be seen, to be acknowledged, to have things. There was a part of my ego that needed recognition. That's a very big drive in life, and we should be aware of it, because sometimes it leads us astray, away from ourselves, because you're still catering to that persona that you have created. That persona requires a recognition. You probably don't. Like the 5-year-old doesn't really require that much recognition. Just love, and that's it. And some water. But it's yeah, it changed a lot. I think right now it's mostly about success is internal. It's really internal. It's about helping others. If I can help alleviate somebody's pain, I think that's success. And I think that's my drive right now in my life. So how it's going to happen, I don't know. But yeah, I think that's the whole secret to a happy life. It's helping others. It's getting to a point where you can help others physically, financially, emotionally, in any way you can. If you also make money out of it, great. It's wonderful. But you don't have to.
So when you reach to this point where you feel at peace with yourself, you feel you're in the right place where you need to be at, how do you deal with comments from family, from your social circles, in terms of, because you have an unconventional life, and probably you hear things like, you should be doing that, or you should be doing that. How do you deal with these probably negative comments? Because are you bulletproof right now? Can you still be hurt? Because you know your value, you know what you're worth, and you know where you're headed. But how do you deal with all this convo that is not, can be probably toxic for most of the case?
I don't, my family gave up a long time ago on me being unconventional. So I haven't heard anything from them for over 25 years about how I live my life. From people from the outside, people see what they want to see, and some people want to see a model to emulate, and I don't think that's the right way to see it. Some people don't understand it at all. Some people think I'm wasting my life. Some people think I'm wasting my talent, or some people say, hey, you could make way more money than that. Why aren't you doing it? I mean, aren't you stupid? I'm like, no, well, I can replace that money anytime I want. I'm no longer living under that pressure that money is finite and it's going to end. It doesn't. It really doesn't. There is too much of it going around. And as long as you do something, you give something that is of worth to somebody else, you get compensated for it. That's just how it works. But we need to get over that anxiety that money is finite. And that comes from trauma, childhood trauma, because there are three aspects of our life that are very important, and we all get traumatized. Sex, always. Money, access to resources, and authority. These are the traumas that shape our personality in our lives, the first half of our lives. And some people, and when we react to it, when we react negatively to trauma, we have two different ways of going at it. Either we overindulge in it or we refrain from it. So if somebody grew up in a family and felt like they never had enough money, and they have been really traumatized by this, you're going to see one or two behaviors. They're going to be somebody who always wants money, who's doing everything to get more money, and greedy and always scheming to get more money, and it's never enough. Never, never, never enough. Or you're going to see somebody who's doing everything they can to avoid having any money, and everything in their life is just catastrophic from a financial point of view. But they don't do anything to make it or make it happen or even open up to it. So that energy that they have with money is not healthy. So that's what you see.
I know that you always go around with the notebook and a pen. Do you have it nearby?
No. I just came back from the coffee shop and
okay.
I left it in the other.
So how does the writing and probably journaling help you on a daily basis?
I think put a lot of to me, it's a need. I have to do it. It's like drinking water. I just have to do it. That's why I said I'm a writer at heart, not because I'm published or not published. That's really not the point. It's I have to do it. Some people are dancers. They have to dance. You can see kids that just cannot sit still. They hear music. I have a niece who's like that. She cannot sit when there is music. And we all have a creative side that needs to get expressed, and we don't do that a lot. We just don't do that enough. And I think that needs to be fed. That needs to keep being fed throughout our lives. And yeah, that's.
Is it journaling or is it like creative writing? What exactly do you jot down in your notebook?
Both. Even just like having an aha moment. It's like, oh, I connected some dots. I need to write this down because I'm going to forget it. So essays and short realizations, it's figuring out something that was difficult for me to understand before, connecting dots, all of that stuff. I need to write it down. And also I feel that when I write it down, I don't have to carry it in my head.
Do you ever go back and read your notes?
Oh yeah. And then you're like flabbergasted at some of the stupid stuff you say. Especially very old stuff. I hope nobody ever sees this.
Do you keep all your journals in your notebooks?
Yeah, but they're all over the place. It's like I have so many books and booklets and notebooks and papers, and they're all over the place. It's if I put them together, it's probably a big good stack, but I don't go through them a lot. Like I don't have any reason right now to go through them. I think in the future I will have reason once I find what I want to write about. I already have a collection and a library of things to draw from. I don't have to start from scratch.
Would you be willing to pursue writing as a new passion that could helpfully maybe monetize in the future? Is this something that you're serious about, or are you just writing casually?
No, I don't know. The honest response is I don't know. I just, for the first time, wrote a short story from beginning to end, and I like what it is about because it has a purpose. Before, when I wrote fiction, it had no purpose. I had this desire to write, but at the same time, there was no message that was going, and there was more of a, I need to get it out and I need to show it off. Those were the two motives that were pushing me when I think about it. Now I feel like there is a purpose. Like I can do very little work, but it will have a bigger impact. So it's just being a lot more focused than just being all over the place. So that it's probably need another 2 or 3 days to finish it and just put the finishing touches on it, and I'll send it to you. It's very short.
Yes, excellent. Look forward to reading it. Now, what message can you leave us with, to all of us who live in this world where we're always comparing ourselves to others? We feel like we're lagging behind. We feel we haven't achieved those amazing things that we see on social media. What message can you leave us with to just wake us up, really?
Just reconnect with the 5-year-old. Seriously, it's a joy. It's your true self. It's who you were supposed to be before the derailment, before everything. It's who you truly are. Just reconnect with that. I know it's very painful, stressful, because we all live horrible traumas growing up, whether we want it or not. We all do. But that's really the first step, is to realize that it is dormant inside you, within you.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Adil. That was
You're welcome.
great.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
I didn't want it to make it long, but I couldn't help but ask you questions. I feel like I'm discovering you. Although I know most of it, but it's also good to hear it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. And I've always been a big fan of you. I've always liked the way you just went after what you liked. In fact, it's like I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and I mentioned I envy people who did that, because I had to be more practical in my life, and I aside things that brought me joy. So I like that you're doing that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Adil. You don't have any social media accounts. I can't leave my listeners with your, if they want to connect with you, is there a way? No. Maybe when you publish your first creative work, then you'll have to have a TikTok account.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That will be the day.
All right. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I know this has been a very long episode. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end, and I hope you really took something out of this conversation with Adil. Leave us a comment and tell us how the 5-year-old you was like. What did you used to dream of? What were you like? I'd love to know. It's always nice to try to connect to that 5-year-old, like Adil was saying. So leave us a comment and tell us more about you. Until next time, I wish you to stay well and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.